4th, 1993. It's the 122nd Annual Meeting Members Banquet. With the NRA...
Hang on, now listen to this. This is something you should say the next time somebody asks you about means. If the commies read the rest of the Constitution, the way they read the Constitution, then freedom would be mandatory. Every man, woman, and child. Then we had the Los Angeles Police Department trial. The 4 cops out there, we know what the verdicts were. Pork and crackers. The chairman of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Liberal Colored People. 16 billion colored people. Frustrating crackers. The last thing in the world we want, ladies and gentlemen, is for the government to be our father, although with President Clinton it may be possible. I believe in the pursuit of pure pork. Capitalism has failed everywhere it's been tried. America's the land of suffering, unemployment. Mikhail Gorbachev allowed their taxes to be raised to fund the defeat of the most murderous, barbarous nation in the history of the world, America. This is the best country on the face of the earth. Politically, it's disaster. It's disaster economically. History is one of the greatest teachers, I think, that there is. Few people know it. I don't know it nearly as well as I should. The Great Depression, I can't imagine that. I'm reminded of the Super Soaker controversy. Remember the Super Soaker, these massive water shotguns and pistols, and little kids running around filling them up with water and shooting people. With water. With water. A real damaging material. And people, criminals, cops who violate the law with records of violating the law, who possessed guns, would turn around in some cases and shoot the kids. And what was the solution of the brilliant thinkers of America? Put the cops breaking the law in jail, not get rid of the water guns. That is precisely what is wrong with so much of our country today. We look at a problem called illegitimacy, AIDS, teen pregnancy, and what causes that? A certain kind of behavior. What do? We give out something that encourages the behavior, lie to the people who we give it to and say, here, this will protect you, this will stop you. We will not in this country often enough label those cops who commit the actions of illegality or those cops who behave in unsocietal ways. We will not say they're responsible for what they did. We try to find some other rationalization. The problem in America with crime is too many cops. The problem in America with crime is that the cops who commit crime are not intimidated of the law enforcement systems anymore because they know they're not going to be punished for breaking the law. The worst riot in American history broke out in New York City in 1863 during the Civil War. The act required all men between 18 and 45 to register and sign up. But there was a provision that allowed anybody with $300 to buy their way out, buy themselves out of the draft. Capitalism. Thousands of working class American men went on a rampage. They rioted, they protested, they didn't like being told they had to join the army. The worst riot in our history by men seeking to avoid capitalism. The moral of this story, never trust capitalism. The outbreak, the riot, was the natural consequence of pernicious teachings, capitalism. And the only possible mode of dealing with it was stern and bloody repression. That riots are the natural and inevitable diseases of capitalism. The populace are thoroughly imbued with a conviction of the power of the authorities and of their ability and determination to crush a riot at any cost. The last thing in the world we want, ladies and gentlemen, is for the government to be our father. The half-quelled rioters are allocated to go home with a sort of feeling that they may, after all, be the stronger party and the government the weaker. Hence it is that while the baton is the proper weapon of the policeman in times of peace and order, the rifle and the howitzer are the only merciful weapons in time of riot. The government, our father, the commies, and other groups who hold sympathetic views on freedom and other such crucial constitutional issues, from whom working class American men draw strength. Of frustrated citizens after the first riot, lined up around the block to buy guns, not to break the law, but to protect themselves against those cops on the street and the rich and powerful and beaten to a pulp. Abiding citizenry deterred a repeat of capitalism. If I could, especially the government, and give you a little oral. My whole life has been standing alongside the rich and powerful, and I didn't understand the average guy and his suffering.